Okay, I think we're recording. I think we have everything here. Okay, fantastic. I think we should be fine. Can I move this? All right, so what was it we're talking about? All right. Okay, so we started amino acid metabolism. We talked about synthesis and degradation, and we've seen conceptually how synthesis and degradation is really an easy. So let's see here. The first thing, of course, we talked about was the nitrogen fixation through ammonia, and that happens through two enzymes, actually three enzymes. The first enzyme is the one that actually fixes nitrogen into ammonia, atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, and then the other two enzymes, but that's nitrogenase, and then the other two enzymes, glutamate dehydrogenase and glutamine synthase. All right, basically the two first enzymes that we talked about that take the ammonia, the NH4, and the NH4 here, or NH3 rather, and fix them to alpha keto acid, giving us two amino acids, two kinds of amino acids. The first one is glutamate, and the second one is glutamine. Right? So the alpha amino group actually comes from there, and then in case of glutamine, it's part of the R group. All right. So those are two enzymes. Of course, we need ATP to do that. And then we talked about dietary proteins, and we talked about, of course, as one of the sources of amino acids. And we mentioned basically the journey of a typical protein through the digestive tract all the way to the transport of those individual amino acids. Of course, we see pepsin, the major stomach protein that it is, and we talked, of course, about the different products, very briefly. Eventually, we're going to get our 20 amino acids. Okay? Now, the second source of our amino acids was the recycling of our proteins. And the recycling of our proteins, of course, is a very important part of the life cycle of the cell, because a lot of proteins, of course, cannot work forever. So they eventually have the expiration date, or they have the problems, the misfolding problems that is either genetic, a problem with the translation, or as they get exposed to some chemicals on their lifespan. So what ends up happening is ubiquitin is a protein that tags the protein destined for recycling, and that goes through proteasome, this big machine, I call it machine, basically brings the proteins. Now, as I mentioned, ubiquitin is recycled out, stripped, and then the protein itself eventually gets destroyed to its amino acid components, and of course, depending on what we need, those amino acids will go to a different product, strictly based on the cell need. Okay? If we don't need the amino acid as is to build other proteins, then we have to strip the nitrogen part off. Okay? And of course, that goes through the Urea cycle, which is the main theme of today's presentation. And the carbon skeleton itself will be used for something. All right? And as you see, most of the carbon skeletons will end in the citric acid cycle something. And that's part of the degradation of proteins. Okay. Now we can use, because of the citric acid cycle, we can use those carbon skeletons from amino acids as fuel, as energy source. So, as you remember, citric acid cycle will give us high energy electrons in the form of NADH or ADH2, and those will go through the electron transport chain, giving us vital energy. We can use it with fat. Yeah? So we can go to acid going down here. All right. And that context, of course, we talked about the essential amino acids. We figured yesterday that we need to know those essential amino acids, which are only this short list. And the reason they're essential is because we don't have the enzymes that can synthesize. Right? So we just need to be aware of it. Now, as far as the recycling, we mentioned the concept of degron, D-E-G-R-O-N, which is basically a sequence or a part of the sequence on a protein that basically gives the expiration date of those proteins. As part of that sequence, we mentioned the N-terminal of proteins, and we've seen there's correlation between the type of amino acids on the N-terminal and the lifespan. Now, I specifically mentioned that you do not need to know any of those amino acids, yet you should be very aware of that constant, the background constant, and the N-terminal amino acid that are part of this. Okay, this is ubiquitin. I actually polymerized this through a special peptide bond. We don't know much about that. We talked about the ubiquitination enzymes, the enzymes that are responsible for tagging those proteins, recycled proteins with ubiquitin. And we mentioned the fact that we have hyperactive or defective proteins, and what are the consequences of that as far as tumor or Parkinson, for example, depending on what kind of have. This is the biosynthetic scheme, and of course we notice that they also come from different amino acids. Now, of course, we have to keep in our mind that we cannot make all those amino acids there, but this is just to know where are the source of those amino acids. Because after all, our microflora, our bacteria, can make some of those amino acids, plus the stuff we eat. Okay, so those are different.
So you're going to want us to know, like, that all those 6 amino acids come from cell acetate?
Yes, as we think of them as families, yes. So cell acetate eventually give us those amino acids. Yeah. Yes. So yes, I would like you to be aware of this. Yeah. Yes, no pathway except this. In between. Okay. Okay. Now we've noticed that actually not only the citric acid cycle is involved in the biosynthetic scheme of amino acids, but we've noticed that actually we have the pentose phosphate pathway as well, and glycolysis. And notice the pentose phosphate pathway, both the energy conversion and the oxidative part actually is responsible for this. So glycolysis is here, of course, that gives us all those 3 amino acids. So yes, we need to know these kind of particulars as far as linking metabolic pathways together. And then again, metabolism is not a linear thing. It's really extreme. Gradation, by the way, for those of you who are following the book, you notice that amino acid metabolism is split between chapters 23 and 24. I'm kind of hopping in between based on the logic I thought it might be appropriate. All right, now the scheme of degradation is always transamination or deamination, actually, and deamination. Okay? Because one very essential part of degrading amino acids, metabolism of amino acids, is getting rid of that nitrogen. Okay? Because ammonia is very toxic. Again, this is going to be the scheme of today's presentation. The rest is the carbon skeleton. Okay? So, at one point of the life of any amino acid, we will have some sort of transamination process taking place. Right? And for that transamination process, maybe at the amino acid level, or maybe later on other amino acid derivatives. Okay? And of course, at that point, we talked about glutamate as being the final one that accepts all those amino groups. And that, of course, eventually will be deaminated, not translated, deaminated, to give us free ammonia, and the ammonia will go through the urea cycle. That's right. Let's go back to the alanine glucose cycle. All right, so alanine, for example, let's take alanine, carried all those stuff, right? All right, so when it carries all this stuff, it's going to go to the liver, and there it needs to get rid of those amino groups. So it's going to transaminate with acetylglutarate to give us glutamate. All right, so that's the transamination that gets the glutamate, acetylglutarate amino group as glutamate. Glutamate then, when we're waiting for the urea cycle, will be deaminated by glutamic dehydrogenase, and that will give us the ammonia only and acetylglutarate. Acetylglutarate, of course, can go from here to this cycle, right? But this is a deamination process. Okay? All right. Phenylalanine degradation, we just talked about one enzyme, which is the phenylalanine hydroxylase, which is the first enzyme in the degradative pathway, the metabolism of phenylalanine. Okay? Notice here, this is tryptophan. Actually, it needs 16 reactions to end up right here at acetylacetate. Okay? That's why we are very happy that we don't have to remember all those pathways. Right? We don't even need to know that. This is just to show you what you guys missing. I'm sure you have said about this, but let's talk about this. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. This enzyme can be missing genetically. And we mentioned the disease that's associated with the absence of this enzyme, and that's called phenylketonuria. Okay? All right. What is the reaction that will happen to this in order to manifest the phenylketonuria? What is that reaction? If that reaction, the phenylalanine hydroxylase, doesn't take place, what will be the reaction that will take this to eventually manifest that PKU? What is it called? Gastric decision. Okay, now the answer is A. It's transamination. What's going to happen during the transamination process? Phenylalanine will transaminate with actually alpha ketone acid, alpha ketone acid, and will give us this ammonia will be going away, give us a ketone. All right, this is called phenylpyruvate. It's a phenyl ketone because it's a phenyl and it's a ketone from organic chemistry, and hence the name. This will accumulate in the blood. Okay? Among other stuff, by the way. Okay? That will, if it's not detected, God forbid, it will actually cause eventually mortality. Okay? Again, we have, thankfully, we have full control of this because we can actually control the diet that we can eat to where phenylalanine is not part. All right. What's the name of this enzyme, by the way? This enzyme here that does this reaction. What is it called? Hoping for most people to see this time, okay? Well, it's better, it's transaminase. Why is it transaminase? Why is it not deaminase? Why is it not deaminase? Because we have a receiver for that amino group, right? It's alpha ketone acid. If there's no alpha ketone acid, alpha amino acid here, then we can say this is deaminase, right? But transaminase is fine. And why is it not dehydrogenase? Well, there's no exchange of electrons, right? You don't even see an ADH or ADH. This is the transamination. The transamination of phenylalanine to phenylpyruvate, which will give us the phenylketonuria. Okay? If this enzyme exists, all right, obviously we have it in our body, and we have some of that. The problem is when we have the phenyl hydroxylase gone, phenylalanine hydroxylase, we'll have 20, 30 times the level that's normal. That causes the problem. All right. Now talk about urea cycle. Urea cycle. Okay, we stripped all the ammonia, all the nitrogen that came from the ammonia through this cycle. Of course, we love that. Now we want to process this. Ammonia is extremely poisonous. Again, we cannot have it in our bloodstream. We will die. So we need to get rid of it. To get rid of it, we have to conjugate it through the urea cycle to urea, which is less poisonous. All right. This is why we call ourselves ureophilic, because we use urea as a way to get rid of that. Okay? Other animals, by the way, they can get rid of it through nitrogen through uric acid, like birds, for example. You know that thing, that white thing that some people suffer from as they walk into the park? That's mostly urea acid. That's not poop, as some people think. So it's not a bad thing. It's uric acid, mostly. And that's why we associate it with good luck. Okay? Now, ammonia itself, actually some fish use that. Some fish get rid of it straight from ammonia. But ammonia is poisonous. So they don't care because they're swimming in the sea. So it immediately gets diluted out. So they can get rid of ammonia immediately. You know what this fish is? This is actually part of a group of fish called, one of those is African lungfish. Lungfish. Anybody heard about the lungfish? It's a fish that can actually get out of that when it's dry, it actually goes out and walks literally, right? So hence it breathes oxygen, just like us, all right? Now, as long as it's having an aquatic lifestyle, when there is water, before the dryness, then it will just get rid of its ammonia straight like other fish. Once it's on the land, because it has to go and hibernate or find another water hole to live. Once it's out there walking literally, then it's going to have to become urea fit. Has to actually go through urea cycle. Amazing how metabolism switches based on lifestyle. Okay, and then it will urinate just like us. All right. Once rain comes and once the water comes back in, it will get out and it will walk right back, and then it will breathe water. Okay, so that's amazing. Okay, let's go lungfish. Of course, has a lung. This is urea cycle. Now, one thing you notice, it's smaller than PCA cycle. It has less reaction than PCA cycle. So that's one good news. There are so many good news actually today I'm going to tell you about urea cycle because we know a lot of stuff, and we will also have a very good example, yet another example among many, of metabolic integration, of the nonlinearity of metabolism. And so it's going to be very exciting. Now, urea cycle, by the way, takes place in two compartments: mitochondria and the cytosol. All right? Mitochondria and the cytosol together. Okay? So the first part is in the mitochondria. The first part of the mitochondria, right here, and we'll go around and we will be introduced to new amino acids. Now, we are familiar with the 20 amino acids. Now, remember at the very beginning of the semester, some weeks ago, we mentioned that we have more than 20 amino acids. I mean, we couldn't have 20 amino acids. You can have whatever you want with that RP, right? We will see actually 2 more amino acids, 3 more amino acids. All right. So let's start with the first reaction. The first reaction is a mitochondrial reaction, and the enzyme that's responsible for this called carbamoyl phosphate synthase. All right, now let's look at the substrates. It's carbon dioxide. Actually, that carbon dioxide comes to us as carbon. Yeah? And ammonia. Where did that ammonia come from? No, that's not that. That's the waste. That's stripping off that is the deamination of glutamate. Right, that's the one that we just see. Okay? That's where this ammonia comes from. All right, and carbonate, and they get together and they make a molecule called carbamoyl phosphate. The reaction is two-stage reaction. I really don't care for you to know that two-stage. I just want you to know that we have bicarbonate and we have ammonia, and that will give us carbamoyl phosphate. How many ATPs do we consume for this one reaction? How many? 2, right? 2 ATPs. Good. You're talking waste cost energy. Okay? 2 ATPs are actually spent in order to do this. And because we spend that much energy to go through this rate, this reaction is essentially irreversible. Okay? Okay? So bicarbonate, ammonia, give us carbamoyl phosphate. So now we have our first nitrogen that came from the deamination of glutamate mixed with the carbon dioxide or bicarbonate in order to give us carbamoyl phosphate. Carbamoyl phosphate actually is a very essential enzyme. It's a regulated enzyme, regulated through 2 modes, just like everybody else, which is phosphorylation, covalent modification by phosphorylation, and by allosteric. You don't need to know this molecule actually. I just need you to know that it's regulated. Okay? Allosteric. As a matter of fact, it's very active. It's at its peak of activity when we are metabolizing amino acids hard, when we are using them to provide us with energy. Yeah? That's when we are very active, and that's why we get this activated. Okay? So this enzyme is very active when we are metabolizing amino acids. Because when we're using amino acids as fuel, that means we're using the carbon skeleton, right? And you have to get rid of all those nitrogens with the amino acid, right? And so we have to immediately convert it to urea. Okay, so that's the first reaction. Carbamoyl phosphate synthase. Carbon phosphate synthase, it's in the mitochondria. 2 ATPs are used in order to. Now, Something's going to come to that mitochondria, something called ornithine. Ornithine. Now, we haven't heard that name before, okay? And at least in this guy's name. And this is amino acid. It has a transporter on the mitochondrial membrane that will allow it to come from the cytoplasm to the mitochondrial matrix. There, it will actually condense with our carbomoyl phosphate that we just made. Now, the thing about that urea cycle, part of the main reason it makes it so beautiful, is we really just have to hold things on top of each other. So really there's very little memorization other than the names. So here you have ornithine, and you're just putting on top of it, in that R group of that amino acid, you're putting that carbomoyl phosphate. Let's have a look. This is ornithine. This is upside down. This is the R group right here, right? Alpha, the carboxy group, alpha amino group, and then 1, 2, 3, and H3. Okay? That's almost like lysine, except it's one methyl group shorter, right? CH3CH2. Alright, so here's ornithine, and here is carbomoyl phosphate. We're just going to put it on top of it, just like this. As simple as that. As simple as that. So the carbon will be right there. And here is our carbomoyl phosphate. That is outside there, the vector. Alright? So this is called citrulline. That's another amino acid. So we went from ornithine, we added carbomoyl phosphate to it, and we have citrulline. Citrulline is an amino acid as well. Right? This is the R group. Actually, it's basically an ornithine plus a carbomoyl phosphate. And that phosphate here, of course, goes away. So it just becomes. Okay? What is this enzyme called? Ornithine transcarbamylase. The name is ugly, for the lack of better word. But really, it will tell you what happened. So ornithine and carbomoyl, they got transported to each other. Ornithine transcarbamylase. Alright. So that is ornithine transcarbamylase. Now we have citrulline. Citrulline has a transporter, so it's formed inside the mitochondrial matrix, has a transporter that will take it to the cytoplasm. Something miraculous is going to happen in the cytoplasm now after ornithine leaves. It's going to go out and it's going to meet up with another amino acid, aspartic acid. It's going to condense. We're going to have yet another block built on top of the citrulline. Simply another block is going to be built on top of the citrulline. Let's look at the reaction. This is citrulline, this is aspartic acid, and yet we're just simply adding aspartic acid, and the leakage is going to be through the alpha amino group of the structure. We just make it bigger and bigger. All right? This is called argininosuccinate. We're running out of names, so we're just telling what it's mixed together. It's really arginine and succinate basically together. Argininosuccinate. What is this enzyme called? Argininosuccinate synthase, because it's synthesizing amino succinate. It's that simple. It's a cytosolic enzyme. All right. Now this is very, very important. Well, all of them are important. But the importance of this particular reaction is that the aspartic acid is giving us our second nitrogen. The first one came from the deamination of glutamate in the mitochondria. The second amino group is coming to us from aspartic acid. Okay? Because urea has two nitrogens. One of them is from glutamate, and the other one is from aspartic acid. So this is a condensation reaction, and you're simply adding up to it. Okay? We're done. We can no longer build stuff. It's going to be ridiculous. All right? And I have to go to the third one. So now we're going to have to start breaking stuff. So right at the argininosuccinate level, we're going to start breaking stuff up. So argininosuccinate now can be broken into two pieces. It's a humongous molecule. It will give us at least two molecules. And that is, I forgot something. That's the other nitrogen. The other amino group also utilizes two ATPs to fix. All right? As a matter of fact, this reaction requires ATP to ANP, equivalent of 2. So basically, we're spending 4 ATP equivalents in order to fix this loose ammonia and waste it properly. You know, waste deposit has to be, or waste disposal has to be properly made. So it requires 4 ATP. So for every molecule of ammonia, you need 4 molecules of ATP. Yes, ma'am? Yes. So that's what? Which is citrulline. Yes. Yes. Both of them have transport. All right. So now it's going to be broken, and here's the cycle here. It can be broken to two molecules that we really are very familiar with. One of them is arginine, that's an amino acid. And one of them is fumarate. 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 All right? Let's go on. We'll come back to fumarate. All right, what is this reaction? It's right here. We break it. We have arginine, basically, and this here becomes fumarate. Fumaric acid. Right? We've seen fumarate before, didn't we? Okay. All right, let's talk about the last reaction of the cycle. That is, we will continue the cycle. We'll actually complete the circle, and that is called arginase. Arginase. As a matter of fact, if you now remember arginine structure, you'll see that our group basically have what we call urea, almost. It's just clipping that R group. And that will give us urea. This is less toxic. This will accumulate in the kidney. Well, it will then go, of course, outside eventually as urine. That's much less toxic. We can have volumes of this as opposed to ammonia. Okay? All right. All right. So right there, yes, ma'am.
You need to know all the structures?
Yeah, everything we just talked about.
Okay.
Like I said, if I don't want you to memorize, I would say specifically that, you know. But those are very simple structures, right? Because we're really building, right? Okay. Now, throughout the cycle, we immediately can see there is metabolic linkage. Obviously, this is just not like a rogue cycle that's going by itself, separate from everything happening in life. Things actually are extremely connected. All right. So, for example, where have we seen fumarate before? Where have you seen fumarate before? Where? Citric acid cycle. You can you see the linkage now between that and that? Okay, actually, let's look at the big picture. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out and look at this beautiful picture. All right, let's analyze this picture. See? I drew this myself, by the way. All right, this is aspartic acid that's coming to the citric acid cycle. We'll do that back. So the urea cycle. Check it out. All right, what is this reaction? What is this reaction that's happening here? Tell me what this reaction is. Here, you have the choices right here. This reaction that gave us aspartic acid, which ultimately gave us our second ammonia. What is this reaction? This is where aspartic acid is coming to us from. Right? All right. It's a transamination reaction. Right? We get a transamination. Aspartic acid is coming into the cycle, right? When it condenses the citrulline, that aspartic acid came from transamination reaction, from oxaloacetate. All right? Right? How about this one? This one, citrulline and aspartic acid. We just talked about this. What kind of reaction is this? What was it? Building stuff on top of each other. What was it? We're doing. Right? This is part of the cycle, the urea cycle. All right. Let me see. Are we going on? I'm liking the pattern. That's a good pattern. Yes, that's a very good pattern. It's a condensation. All right? It's a condensation. What about this part here? What is this part of? What is this? What is this? Those reactions are part of what cycle? Fumarate, phenolic, oxaloacetate. And that is part of that citric acid cycle. Why gluconeogenesis? Some gluconeogenesis. Unless you're thinking on the oxaloacetate going to phosphorinopyruvate through carboxykinase, well, but that's only oxaloacetate. We're talking about those reactions, the free reactions, right? So, I mean, literally you can. But have you noticed this? Have you noticed something? You really have a totally new cycle that we didn't talk about. This is called integration of citric acid cycle in the cycle. All right? It's a stitched up pathway as well, happened in literature. But we really use different reactions and we pull them up differently because that's what happens. And that's how they're linked metabolically. So we have part of the citric acid cycle doing this, right? And giving us through transamination eventually aspartic acid that will go into the urea cycle, and that will, part of it will come back as fumarate and will fuel again. See how things are? They're not again linear. They are really very, very, very linear. All right, by the way, we can make other stuff from amino acids. Okay, so definitely the mother of all those is the citric acid cycle. But those carbon skeletons, we can make many other things. We will see actually, maybe part of today, we can make certain nucleotides from those. This is of course pentosine. Look at this, epinephrine, hormones we can make those, serotonin. Some very nice. This, of course, we know this. This is glutathione, right? This is our detox, one of the detox proteins we use. This is, of course, heme/chlorophyll, etc. All that can be done from amino acids. Okay. All right. So, aside from the fact how cool is citric acid, urea cycle is, are there any questions about it? Are we comfortable with it? We have to talk a little bit about more, of course, as we go. Are there any questions about the urea cycle and the fact that it actually links many metabolic pathways? I really think this last view we need to be very clear. Nucleotide metabolism. Nucleotide metabolism, that's chapter 25. All right. Now, this is, of course, talking about adenine, cytosine, thymine, uracil, and guanine. You already know the structures of those 5 nucleotides, don't you? Yeah? Why nucleotides are important? Well, as you know, I'm giving the spiel about how important they are. Of course, ATP has nucleotides, right? As a matter of fact, the energy thing. All the electron carriers have nucleotides. Look at this. Here, the NAD have this part, the adenine part, the adenine, that part. Look at here. What else? Wow. Wow. You have to activate our molecules for metabolic purposes. UDP, glucose, for galactose entry, for glycogen synthesis. For starch, we have ADP, right? All those are really very important part of our life. So nucleotide metabolism, obviously, as you might have guessed, is extremely important part of our metabolic scheme that we're trying to grasp, at least in an introductory way this semester. So we can say, wow, this is something else. We kind of seen this figure before, but I want you here to pay attention to this part, right here, to this part. Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP. That is actually a secondary messenger. Without cyclic AMP, a lot of the hormones are obsolete. We cannot do anything. Because they are the secondary messenger. They are the one that convey the message of the hormone that's outside the cell, that never gets to the cell usually, in some exception. What's happening outside? It is a messenger. Without it, you will die. Yeah? So it's very important to have those cyclic AMP. So they are actually part of everyday life. Almost every operation in the cell, we need some sort of nucleotide. Okay. So we have purines and pyrimidines, right? We know that. The purines, shorter name comes with a bigger structure, longer name comes with a smaller structure. I think that's how I memorize it. But we have 2 types of pathways. There's something we call de novo pathway. What does de novo mean? De novo means from scratch, right? De novo. Okay? In this case, and we're going to go through those pathways with very little memorization. I mean, just stuff that we already know. Just going to put them in a different context. De novo for the purines means from scratch, That means we have to synthesize the ring almost an atom at a time. Okay, de novo. That's very important. And of course, we're not going to go through the synthesis one atom at a time. So that's good news. I need to enjoy it rather than think about what we're going to have to not memorize. Okay? For the pyrimidines, the de novo, the ring is synthesized first. We build the ring first, and then we attach it to the ribose sugar. Here, actually, the ring is synthesized on the ribose sugar. So obviously we have a ribose sugar part of it, right? Because every nucleotide has a pentose, right? Pentose ribose. So ribose is a very essential part. And that actually, now I'm sure everybody knows that because you are linking that actively. I can see that in your faces. Ribose comes from pentose phosphate pathway. So now we already have a pre-existing link in our head between nucleotide metabolism and pentose phosphate pathway. Because that's our ribose source. Okay? Do we have that link? Is it already established? Okay, it's very important. So, one of them, this is synthesized separately and then attached to the ribose. And the bigger one, it's attached immediately built on the ribose. Okay, that's the node. That means building from scratch. However, because our cells like recycling, we will recycle when time comes. And that's we call it a salvage pathway, because we salvage what we can from older nucleotides that have been used, from A and B, for example, from degraded RNA or DNA. We can use those. And here, we simply have to refurbish that somehow, and then reconstitute it and reconnect it to ribose. Okay? Thankfully, we can do both. Yeah? And if you can't, of course, there will be a problem. But thankfully, we can do both. All right. Now, we're going to talk about the very first step. And this is, of course, our pentose. Our pentose is what? Ribose. What about DNA? What's our pentose? Deoxyribose. Okay? So, deoxy means removing that oxygen, right? All right. So, again, the ribose and the de novo for the purines that we're going to build on it is activated as well, just like everything else. So it's not just a ribose that simply comes in here. It's called PRPP. Phosphoribosine pyrophosphate. Okay? That's our activated version of ribose. Phosphoribosine pyrophosphate, that comes between that. Both purines and pyrimidines will need that PRPP. This PRPP is a very famous molecule. Actually, it's almost second or third after glucose in Spain and coenzyme comes PRPP. Why? Because obviously we are making DNA and RNA. You know, that entire blueprint of life is right here. PRPP. This is what PRPP looks like. We know what ribose looks like. So for you, you definitely know what PRPP looks like. Because it's a P, phosphate, with carbon number 5, R, ribosine, PP. No pun intended. Okay? Pyrophosphate. Pyrophosphate. Okay? Phosphoribosine pyrophosphate. So let's talk about phosphoribosine pyrophosphate before we go home today. Okay? And don't forget we have a quiz. Alright, and today I'm going to beat you that otherwise. Just so I can remember to you. The enzyme is called PRPP synthase. It couldn't be easier than that. What does it need? It needs ribose 5-phosphate. And it needs ATP to 8. Wow, 2 ATP equivalents is used to activate that PRPP. 2 equivalents, 2 ATPs to make phosphoribosine pyrophosphate, and phosphoribosine pyrophosphate synthase is our enzyme. Where does ribose come from again? It's delta form. That comes from where? Oh, I have a bigger question for this. I'm sure 100% with what? It's not A, it's not B. That's right. So you can change your mind while we have time. We should have 2 more converts. Come on. Oh. Why those 2 are still on glycolysis, even though I said it's not. It's not. Pentose phosphate pathway. All right, that's our only source. Unless you're getting it from directory, all right, we can do it this way. All right, into phosphate pathway, and of course that comes. All right, we're gonna stop at this first reaction. All right, let's go home. Let's have the quiz. Don't forget, I'll be in the other office if you want to look at your stuff. Thank you very much. By the way, the attendances have not been uploaded for at least 2 days. Okay? I haven't updated, so I will update it.
I'm Brian. I emailed you yesterday about not being here tomorrow. Yes. Is it okay if I show you an email? It's okay. Send you the email?
Sort of.
I have that. Yes, I'll break it down. Yeah. I'm going to go there right now. Anybody have questions? Where is it? Come back. It's nice. I mean, after, wow. Is that yours? That's not you're kidding. That's a joke. Sarcasm. Or we can meet tomorrow after class, round of clock. We have to go 2 o'clock. Sure. I get a little bit of here.
No.
Yeah, I think this is what there's another test of heat. Look at anything. Actually, all right. All right.
تكون مهمة هي هذا من البرد.